Hello, hello. We are here with another edition of Finance with Friends. I'm making sure I spelled the caption right. You guys, my allergies have been acting up all day, so please forgive me for how I sound. If you hear me all stuffy, that is why. But tonight I am really excited to bring this conversation to you guys. I am going to be joined by some amazing women. Here we go. Let's get. Hello, come on in. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We've got Joy, Nadia, and the Mells are joining me tonight. Here we go. Here we go. Let's send them their request. Hey, Joy.
Hey there.
Yes, girl. We gotta do my filter.
There we go. Yeah.
Hey y'all.
The gang is all here. I am going to try to wave at everybody, but I realized last time when I did that, it was a little distracting. So, hello, as you are coming into the room, we are glad to have you. So we're going to start with intros. I am Tiffany.
Hey.
I am a personal financial coach. I help mamas become mindful with their money so that they can enjoy their money now and create legacies for their babies later. So let's go to Joy. You were the first to join us, so I'm going to go with you next.
So I am Joy. I am a life strategist and success coach. And what that basically means is that I partner with amazing, ambitious, forward-thinking men and women to evolve personally, expand professionally, and create financial wealth and whole life success.
Yes, I love it. Life strategist. Like, who doesn't need strategy in their life?
I know. Everybody needs a little bit of strategy.
All right, Nadia, go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Lord me, I'm a jokester, so I'm sorry. The shade of the jokes will be thrown. I'm technically what I call myself, and I told you earlier, I call myself a 3C. I'm a creator within marketing and money. I'm a creator. I actually am an money influencer on the side. But within. I consult as well as coach within the areas of marketing and money. I'm just really big on just creating generational wealth, but not necessarily building that, but also making the complex common. And one of the things that I saw with going into money and marketing and things of that nature is that people don't understand shit, they're not gonna do it. I'm sorry, I cuss. So I break it down to what is it.
Let's normalize curse words.
Listen, it needs to be. I'll pray and then I'll pop you. But this is the thing. But the reason why I started is because a lot of people find this stuff hard. They see these articles, it's hard to understand. And I just want to make what the affluence looks to as investing in things in different money topics as being affordable. It's able to be done. I mean, just look at it. But that's me.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, when I first started getting into investing, like they might as well have been speaking a different language. Like you see all the tickers and then you see the red and the green and you're just like, I don't know which way is coming and going. So it can be very intimidating.
Girl, I watched that like the soap operas. What you talking about? Especially with companies that get snatched up and stuffy. We work. Oh, honey, that was a daggone. That was like Love and Hip Hop for me.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. See, and so normalizing, I love the content that you put on your page because you make it so digestible for people. So it takes something that it used to be intimidating. It's like, nah, y'all, this is what it means. Like, here's the cheat code. All right, Dee, go ahead. Let's introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Demelza. I am the retirement money kid and I'm the CEO of Parental Wealth, where I help adult kids like you talk money with their retired parents so that we can make sure that our parents are financially independent after retirement. So my claim to fame is I helped my own parents pay off $86,000 of debt after they were retired. And it was such a transformational experience for me that I was like, I cannot be the only person who has this experience of being scared of my mama moving in with me and taking over my kitchen. So I love my mother to death, but we have decided that, you're going to have your own wing and I will have my own wing, and our kitchens will not cross paths. You know what I mean? And bigger than that, just really making sure that my parents' wealth is good and then my wealth is good, because, right, if something happens to them, where do you think the money is coming from? It's coming from me.
Yeah.
So I really focused on getting them set, and here I am with parental wealth. So thank you so much.
Yes, I love it. So I think this is such a great group of women to talk about this. So we're gonna get right into it. So if you guys have any questions while we're going, please drop them in the question box and we'll answer them as soon as we can. But we have just like a pretty loose agenda that we'll be going by. But the first question that I wanted to ask was, what does generational wealth mean to you? And Dee, I want to let you go ahead and take that one first.
Okay, awesome. So I really appreciate that. I am a little different about generational wealth. Okay, I actually believe more in intergenerational wealth than I do just generational wealth. And a lot of that is because low key, I feel like we've gotten the okie doke for like the last 10 years, where we've been told to just kind of focus on the kids, focus on, doing whatever we can to make sure that our kids are good. And I'm like, yeah, but we got this whole big gap over here with our parents. And if they're not good, our kid junior can earn money over the next 40 years. But when we got mama and she's 70 years old, I can't really expect her to go, working back at the telephone company or doing certain things, because she's older and she doesn't have another maybe 40 or 50 years to work. So generational wealth is solid, but intergenerational wealth is really where you want to be, because the money often is very cyclical within your family. Think about to all those times when you were like, Ma, can I get $10? Can I get $20? Daddy, can I get this outfit? Right. And the thing is that as we grow older, as they grow older, right, that safety net, like, who you think was the primary safety net during Panorama? It was parents. It was parents. People were moving back in with parents. But then when you think about how much money it costs those parents, how many parents dipped into their retirement funds to take care of kids, that is going to come home to roost over the next 10, 15 years. And so it's really important that we focus on intergenerational wealth.
Okay. So I'm big on like changing the language, right? So like I took financial literacy and was like, that's trash.
You flip that.
We don't want that. Okay, this is financial empowerment month.
I love it.
So I love that it's intergenerational wealth, and I similarly agree. Like I don't believe that it's just my kids, right? Like I gotta take care of my mama, and there's so many songs about taking care of your mama, but like we have to start planning for that now so that we can pay it forward, backwards, sideways, to the cousins and everybody. Nadia, what does generational wealth or intergenerational wealth mean to you?
Being able to experience it yourself. Because just saying, because we are so prone to saying we're going to create it for our children and our great grandchildren, and what Dee said about her parents and all that stuff. But guess what? The common denominator and all that is you. So it's like, how am I experiencing all of these different, the things that I'm doing now, the systems that I'm setting up and I'm showing my kids, my kids, I'm showing my parents, because like what Dee was saying, the whole conversation with my mom retiring and things like that nature, our conversation about money shifted. But it was a big case upon what I've learned from her and what she's learning from me. And that's one of the things that I think that with intergenerational wealth, is that it's fluid, and it's like taking the knowledge that a lot of people have been throwing and learning about Greenwood and all that good stuff, and seeing the systems that they had in place. So what would have happened if Greenwood would have been around and GoFundMe wouldn't? So it's just the taking from that and cutting down that 225-year wealth gap. That's what I'm so big on doing, and that's one of my whys, and that's one of the things that I'm trying to build that conversation, is so that I don't just want to build generational wealth so my parents or my kids can enjoy it. I want to enjoy my life now. I want to enjoy luxury now. I can still I can have a balanced budget and a nice bag. I mean, you can do both.
Yes.
You
So that's
can.
what it means to me, child. I can go on for that all day, but that's honestly what it means to me is just being able to experience it, set up these systems and the mannerisms that I set, so even my family can start doing that, and people's families that I service, they'll start doing that. But making building wealth normalized,
Yeah.
and changing that narrative.
I love that you said that, right? The common denominator in all of this is going to be you, right? So you have to be the one to pay it forward, backwards, sideways, like I said. And, you know, what's that saying with the oxygen mask, right? You can't take care of anybody if you don't put your oxygen mask on first. So
Absolutely.
I'm like breathing, so I need, you know, because so often you've seen that it's this whole thing of we have to sacrifice, and this that negative notation that we've had in the culture, is what I love to call it, is that wealth shouldn't have to be bad.
A sacrifice, yeah.
It's a sacrifice is bad. I don't want to sacrifice being wealthy. I don't have to have A to have B. It's fluid. Money is fluid. It's a cycle. It's a currency. It's fluid. It doesn't just stop. So that's just.
We've seen plenty of examples of people who have the wealth and have the things, right? So why can't we have that? We have this stigma around it where, you know, if you have designer bags or nice cars, then that means you can't be wealthy. Wrong. Like, we have to start to change that.
Don't let somebody name that start with a D scare you from money. I'm not talking about.
We're not going to bring him up in this live. I brought him up in the last one and got booed by you.
It was by me. You know why it was by me? Because you know that's mine. I was throwing shade. I won't booing you. I was
just his name.
Joy.
Joy, go ahead.
Yes. So the question is generational wealth and what that means. So for me, what generational wealth really implies for me is creating a revolutionary impact, right? And revolutionary is doing something drastic that change what has been done so we can create what we want and what is. Generational wealth is really planting those seeds so that we can change and we can create. I say this all the time and I say this a lot. We are not just creators on earth. We are part of creation. And if we are part of creation, we are made to create. And if we're made to create, we should be intentional with our actions, our behaviors, and everything around us to create that generational wealth, because wealth is health, right? So putting those things in place. And again, like everybody has said, and I really agree with the sentiment, is we can't do so much sacrificing ourselves and our health and our well-being and our success and all these things for our kids or for whoever. You have to make sure that you're okay. And I used to tell my kids this when they were young. In order for me to be the best mother that I can be, I need time to fill my own tank. When I fill my own tank, then I have an overflow to fill for you. In the same way, when we talk about money and wealth, if you're not filling your own tank from a wealth perspective, you have nothing that you can share and that you can overflow with other people. So be intentional about what you're creating, how you're creating, and being optimistic that you can create whatever it is you want, sweetheart, like whatever it is. So if you want wealth, if you want riches, if you want the bag, do it. But as a life strategist coach, it comes with strategy, right? Like it comes with putting things in place. So for me, that's what generational wealth is all about.
Love it.
Yes, I love it. All right, so I'm gonna give my quick one because I feel like we touched on all the key points, right? But to me, you know, I love that you call it intergenerational wealth, because that really is what I mean when I say it. So it's never just about my kids while throwing away, you know, the previous generations. I have so much respect for every person that has come before me. And, you know, I think I was telling you guys earlier, my family has 3 houses in DC. You know, my family moved from South Carolina and from the Eastern Shore of Maryland. And if you know our history, those are some of the places where slave ships landed. And so my family has migrated to DC to create better lives for us. So I'll be damned if I let their hard work go to while I'm trying to just focus on my kids. So it goes both ways, right? So
you know what, Tiffany, something you just said is like, you know, you'll be damned if you'll let this happen. The thing that happens though, we so forget so often when we talk about generational wealth, we forget about the sweat, the tears, the blood, the deaths, and all the
Right.
things that our ancestors had taken place in order for us to have that. We totally dismiss that. And when they get older, we push them to the side like they ain't
Right.
sacrificed their whole life and their whole
Right.
everything in order for us to be where we are. We should have some investment in ensuring that our parents are well, our elders are taken care of, they have food, they have shelter, and they have a quality of life that they sacrifice for us to have.
Can we throw hearts? Can I do the
I'm
hearts?
like, I'm looking for hearts to throw, but I can't. I'm over here like when I tell you, like, the conversations that I have, everybody focuses on generational wealth being, or intergenerational wealth just being money. Do you know the information, the insight, the perspective, the connection that you have with your family when you talk about money, when you break down the barriers that keep you from talking about money with your family, you are able to like reach such a level in your family to understanding your ancestors, truly understanding them, having a bird's eye view as to what their perspective is. Like, I need you to understand that I didn't learn a quarter of as much as I know about my father's family, about my mother's family, until we started breaking down barriers, you know what I mean, and having these conversations.
Having the conversations.
It starts with the conversation.
People aren't talking.
The conversation doesn't necessarily have to be about sacrifice. My mom said today certain things that they did was younger about strategizing, and they had strategies themselves.
Oh yeah.
And like you want to get the tea about what happened with Auntie whoever, but you don't want to get the tea on what did they do to survive.
Yes.
Jim Crow, to survive all those
of the stuff.
Like how are they able to still save to buy those houses? How are they able to send their kids to school? Rather, the inflation might be crazy now, but what strategy did they utilize that we can actually look to revamp and actually put into motion? That's all it is.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joy. Go ahead.
And I think is when we're talking about this, and I've stated this before, is that we can't just be so concerned. I think somebody else might have mentioned we can't be so concerned about passing down money without passing down mindset, right? It will be worth nothing if you have money to pass down and it's going into a mindset that's broke, that's poverty, that's not about abundance and not about building. It's literally a waste and in vain. So we don't want to just pass down money. We want to pass down education, and education and knowledge and mindset is something that nobody can take from you. They can't steal it. They can't do anything, but it's also your powerhouse and your key to create literally everything and anything that you want.
Yes. And I mean, and I just want to say this one last thing, right? Because it is very much a exchange and a constant exchange of mindset when you're talking with your parents. Listen, I'm gonna let y'all know something, right? And I don't talk about this a lot, but I'm gonna talk about it here. My father has, like 11 brothers and sisters. And the reality is that one of his brothers sold the family house, okay, without permission, right? Because, hey, his name was on the deed and nobody knew that. And so he had the right to do that. But it was key because what I did was I talked to my dad like, well, do you want to buy it? Because somebody flipped it and put it back on the market. And what's our goal? Are we buying it just so that we can say we have the family house, or does this become the investment? I think we need to rent this joker out because it is no longer the family house. The pictures have come down. We do not have the same carpet. They're not the same rooms. We need to make sure that this is generating money for you and it stays in the family. Yes, it is
your money. Your money should always be making money for you.
But it should not be making money.
Your money. Your money should be working for you, and that's in investments. That's in assets. That's in all these other things, and we have to do that generationally. Like you're saying, like, hey, what do we want? So the other thing that you said, which I think is so important. What do we want as a family? We're not having these family conversations.
Yes.
And establishing a strong estate plan too. Because if you would have had a strong estate plan, that would not have happened.
Yep.
Right. But back in the day,
the life insurance and all that stuff, we don't have those conversations.
And let's talk about beneficiaries, right? Like beneficiaries. Be clear about beneficiaries. Educate your beneficiaries on what that means and what the expectation is and how you create that for your family and how you put all this in place, or else we are basically neglecting building generational wealth because we haven't had the conversations or put the right protocols in place in order for the foundation. If our foundation is not solid, we can't build a roof, right?
Right. And it's very important to understand, like Nadia said, it's not just about the struggle, it's about the positive too. It's very important to understand our history, to recognize, like, at one point you had people who were selling really horrible policies to, you know, our parents and our grandparents. And it
Horrible.
made them very sensitive
Yeah.
to going to bankers, going to insurance, going to lawyers. And we got to recognize that and have that conversation, and then start to help to ease them back into it. Because now we have more information. They didn't have the internet at their fingertips. They didn't have, like, in order to have that, I remember my father buying the Encyclopedia Britannica, complete with the gold on the, you know, the gold filigree. And I asked him, why did you want to do this? And he told me that he was denied the ability to go to his local city library because of Jim Crow laws. And he didn't want anybody to deny him or his children the ability to read or have knowledge. And when I look at that, I'm like, oh no, we're going to make sure you know everything that you need to know so that you can make the most informed decision now, and not necessarily hold on to those past decisions or your parents' decisions as a reason to not be up in your wealth.
Yeah.
Somebody actually put a question in, and they said, how do you initiate those conversations with older parents, right? And I think that this is something that you were just saying, because our parents, they went through things that we will never understand. Our grandparents have gone through things that we will never understand. So they're a little bit more leery about all of this that have access to and that we're into today. But every conversation, even if it's an uncomfortable conversation, it has to be had, right? And you have to be intentional about it. And you have to set the agenda to say, parents, grandparents, this is what we need to talk about. And we need to make sure that we're sharing this information, because it's not just about you and it's not just about us, but it's about the kids. It's about our whole family. And as a family unit, we cannot go without having conversations. We have to normalize talking. We have to normalize these conversations.
And so one of the things that you need to, I'm going to say this because I had this conversation with my dad a couple of years ago, is that things that they feel that they're behind in and they didn't do, you have to let them know it's okay. Because they did not have access to these things. They did not know about mutual funds. They did not. And I'm like, Dad, it's okay. And I've had that conversation with my mama, even with my other older family members. It's like, it's okay. But the thing that is fine is that we're going to work on rectifying what could have been. So it's that thing, is that positioning within the pain, or they didn't have a strategy or didn't even think about that, is that it's okay that you didn't understand, that you didn't have access to it. A lot of people didn't.
Right.
That's what we're going to do, how we're going to move forward. So it's that having a conversation and not necessarily being one-sided and being, they get intimidated when you're not intimidated, they get overwhelmed when you talk about certain things, but just having that tonality to show, hey, this is how we're going to work. This is how it's going to benefit you. This is how it's going to benefit me. This is how it's going to help build that plan.
You know, one thing, I'm sorry, go ahead,
Tim. That person asked about, how to have these conversations. And, unfortunately when my grandfather passed in 2018 is when I had this conversation with my grandmother, because that was an organic time to have those conversations. And we talked about her beneficiaries, and I helped her, with her life insurance, and, name her children her beneficiaries. And we did some of her estate planning and talked about what she wanted to do with her. But so there are those moments in life where you can have these really natural, organic conversations with them. But then there's also, you have your relationship with your grandparents, you have your relationship with your parents. So you know how to approach those sensitive or kind of taboo topics with them in a way that, like Nadia says, gives them grace, right? Like forgives them for anything that wasn't done or they didn't do in the past, but still allows them some hope in the future. So, I think it's a great time to do it when you have organic ways to do it. And then before we continue,
I'm just going to say one thing with that really, really quick, Tiffany. The best way to have conversations with any person is to ask questions. Ask questions is the best way to open up opportunity for conversations. Start it with a simple question to segue, and then have your questions kind of intermingled, and don't just get into the conversation and just listen. Be engaged in it. Ask a question, listen to the answer, ask another question based on the answer that they give, listen to it, and then pour in the things that you really want to know into the conversation, and it will organically just grow into an information kind of share between all people that's involved.
Yes,
I don't really need to say anything. Y'all covered it. Like, yeah, I'm good.
this is Dee's
Other
lane.
questions?
So, is there anything else you want to add to that?
I mean, I think what we need to recognize is most of the time it's difficult to talk to older parents because we have the difficulty talking to them. It's not them, it's us. It's maybe some childhood fear of disrespect, or some concern that we're going to say the wrong thing and offend, or maybe we look at our own lives and say, well, look, my life is not together. How am I going to say to my parent that they have to get their life together? And the reality is that there's no perfect time to get your life together. There's no perfect time to, get your finances together. The best time to get your finances together are today.
Yep.
That's it. And if you miss it today, then tomorrow you have the day to get your finances together. So don't allow that monster to kind of hold you back from having a conversation that can change your life. It can change your life, and it can change your parents' life too. And is that a good reason? Like, is fear a good reason to not want to have the life that you deserve to have?
Yeah,
no.
Fear is never a great reason to be limited from all that's available to us. We got to realize that it's our birthright to live a great life. But so many people think that having a great life is this thing that's beyond them and that's for everybody else. When you really have the belief that I can be detached from all of the beliefs and all the things, and we have to go through a process of unlearning all of the things that's held us captive and relearn the things that serves us best, our family best, our parents best, our children best, and start to rebuild from the foundation so we can build, so we can put the roof on the house.
Yeah. So, she followed up and said it's an acknowledgement that they won't be here forever, and that can be challenging. And so, when we're having these conversations with, our parents as they age and our grandparents, and it is a tough conversation to have, and you think that they won't be here forever. But, something that I remember, like I said earlier, is that, my grandparents, I revere the hard work and everything that they've done by protecting their assets, by keeping their legacy alive, by, honoring the hard work that they did, by working hard my damn self. So, that's how you keep their names alive, continue their legacies. And, it is a hard thing to think about that they won't physically be here, but that is a good thing to do, is to acknowledge that, you
because
can honor
we don't
them.
know how, honestly, and I hate to sound morbid, we don't know how death is going to fall.
Right.
Yeah, so we don't know if we're going to be the ones before
you don't
them.
know if I'm setting up I'm protecting you. I'm giving you a foundation of wealth. No matter which way it go, I'm helping I ain't even going there. Just to set the foundation for my kids, myself, or my family, because we don't know how the whole scale is going to fall. We don't know who is going to go.
Yeah.
Right.
And then older people who have been, all of their siblings have left before them. They have no kids, and then what?
And the thing is death has everybody's number, but there's no order. There's no order.
Yeah,
but there's no order in how that number comes. You know what I mean? So just because our parents are getting older, that still puts us in an opportunity where just because they're getting older, we don't want to forsake the conversation. And something happens to us, or something happens before our parents, and now they're stuck with no help, with no support, because their heirs haven't had these conversations with them. We don't want to wait until, we want to be proactive versus reactive, despite the reality of what's going to happen to all of us at some point. Like, we want to be prepared, and we want to make sure that we're creating a great life.
Yeah, I see it way too much where the time to talk about somebody's finances is when they're ready to bury them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that is something that is very consistent, definitely within the culture where it's like, oh, now we'll talk. Like we get together at weddings and funerals, right? And at funerals, then all of a sudden we're ready to talk about it. And the thing is that, yeah, it's very challenging. I dropped it in the chat. It's going to be very challenging, but the goal is to give them their flowers now. Like, why am I trying to give flowers when you're gone? You cannot appreciate them. You cannot smell them. They do nothing for you. Me making sure that you have your money set, making sure that you can take care of yourself, making sure that you can take a trip when you want to, that you can fix up your house when you need to. Like, that is me giving you and serving, serving you now and giving you your flowers now. The first couple of conversations about death, with my parents, we were all crying. All of us. We were all crying. It was a mess, snot, the whole 9 yards. Second conversation had like one tear, like Denzel Washington, and you know what I mean?
The slow tear.
Just a slow tear, you know what I mean? But the third conversation, it was like, all right, we know this is gonna happen. What do you want? How can I serve you? What would you like? So that I know that I am following your wishes, and we need to write it down. So that
and we should life insurance is not necessarily just for your death.
Oh my goodness! I am so glad you said that. I
used to work for a financial services company, so I pretty much I've driven that down a lot. Is that a lot of people who are affluent, they use life insurance policies. I have an article about that, saying that they utilize it for wealth. They have a trust. I've seen trust buy into Uber. I mean, it's just that it's not just, oh, let me get this life insurance. How are we building an overall plan that can help us in the now as well as the later? So and that's one of the big things.
I think it's so important you mentioned that, is that one, when we're talking about this timing thing, right? Timing thing of creating generational wealth. Don't wait until somebody dies to figure out they don't have life insurance, right? And then the thing is, when we talk about life insurance, you hit the nail on the head when you said it's not just about someone dying, it's about everyone living, right? So when I pass away from this world, I want to make sure that my kids I'm able to share wealth with my kids, even though I'm not here. I want them to have that foundation. I want them to have all the things in place that they don't have to worry about me dying and the grieving of me being gone and the grieving of still having a struggle life. No, if I'm gone, I don't want you to be in this life struggling. I want you to be in this life with all the tools and resources available to you to help you navigate this thing called life, and to navigate it without all of the shackles and all of the weights that will weigh you down. So we have to really put those things in place, and let's do more education about life insurance, right? Understanding how the wealthy uses it as a tax tunnel to avoid paying taxes. Let's talk about how we can use it as a way to build cash value. Let's talk about it as we can use it as a way to,
and like how you said, riders can give you more cash value, but that's a whole nother story I got all day. That's right. It was the art that did a campaign for MetLife that said hashtag who I live for, and people were talking about, they were showing that life insurance is not so morbid. It's about the people that you live in here, giving those flowers now, planting the seeds for later, because it's all these different life insurance policies and things that people have no idea, and they get, like you said before, that back in the day they get these janky ones that they can't go cash in at the.
But you know why? You know why they got the janky ones? So this is the thing I think we can talk about when we talk about this generational wealth and realizing where we are in the world today. This is 2021. We have access to literally anything and everything in the world that we want to have access to. Where our parents and grandparents were stuck is because they didn't have this. They only had access what was in their communities. So they only had access to the one person who sold life insurance because they could only be in their communities. They only had access to the one library or the one church or the one school or the one thing. So they were stuck. They were limited about what they can do and how they can do it because of the environment and the times that they lived in. So they have those traumas from being stuck in this community where we have open access to everything, and it's a whole different world for them.
We have open access, but the thing of the matter is that I think, like you want to call out a statistic, 23% of wealth in the African American community is inherited. That's a low number.
Very
But the
low.
thing is that, yeah, we have access to everything, but for our culture being at possibly zero median net worth by 2053, it's not necessarily the access. You can have
It's a
everything.
disconnect.
It's the alignment. What are you doing to connect what you have access to?
So there are two parts to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we gotta all remember, right? Sometimes so much access can create analysis paralysis, right? It's too much information. We don't know how to move forward. So the access is good, but I'm gonna tell you right now, this whole panorama, because that's what I'm calling it. Right. This whole panorama, though, opened up a whole new door for a lot of our parents, grandparents, ourselves. You know what I mean? Because we introduced them to Zoom. We did more things with them online. They had to do more things online. It's almost like it leapfrogged them in a way that they never would have been online or been messing with the internet to this degree if it was not for panorama. So for the people who are like, I'm looking for like that reason that doesn't have to be associated with somebody else's funeral, you already have a reason. Like panorama gave you a reason to be able to say, you know what? Let's hook you up with this insurance person because we can do a Zoom and I'll be on it with you and call it the day. And then that way you can get this set.
It's a whole reset. The whole panorama was a great reset for everything across the board.
Unfortunately, it was a large loss of life, but it definitely was a huge reset for our community. And it's almost like, I don't know about you guys. I'm okay. So whenever I get food poisoning, I kind of, not that I purposely get food poisoning, but when I do get food poisoning,
so happens.
I tend to work out a little bit more after that. Because look, if I've already lost 5 pounds, I might as well keep this joker going.
Because I had something similar. Go ahead, though.
So it's like, if you have a bad situation, but you have seen some benefit from it,
just talk about it.
Why not keep it, take it and run? This has been a horrible situation. And yet, the savings that have gone on this year, you know what I mean? Like the level of expansion in knowledge this year, the level of expansion in technology this year. Like my daddy is over here every Sunday at 11 o'clock. He is logging on to church. He's like, I'm on church. Leave me be. This is my time.
We at church.
Right.
Quiet.
So this goes back to what we were saying earlier, though. Nadia, I love that you brought up these stats. I mean, at the rate that we're going, Black median wealth, what was the stat?
Yeah, it's a median wealth for African Americans will be 0 by 2053.
At the rate that we're going. So we were talking about earlier before we, went into how to, help our parents and grandparents, is that it really is going to still start with us. The common denominator is going to be us. And we have the access to the information. You've got 4 women right here that can pour into you if you need that information, right? Like there's so many resources available to you. Now you have to take that knowledge and you have to apply it, because knowledge is not power, y'all. You have to do something with it, okay?
Right.
So we have to start putting some of these, like you said, the pandemic has put us in, some of us in a better financial spot, right? Like a lot of my expenses went down last year, so that was able to increase my investing, right? So we have to take this situation and kind of just run with it so that we can start, again, we're the foundation, right? Like secure your foundation, solidify your foundation. Then you can start worrying about everybody else, because again, if you don't take care of yourself, you cannot take care of anyone else.
And can we just say one thing about that, is that it's okay if you have neglected taking care of yourself all of this time. You can start.
It's a new month. It's a new quarter. Take care of you. Start today.
And start making yourself important today. You can do little things today that will help put you on track in order to start building that. You have, no matter how old you are, as long as you have breath in your body and you are thinking and you are breathing, you have the ability to make a change and to make a difference, not just in your lives, but in the lives of everybody that's around you. When you start making change, other people around you start making change. And if their change is not aligned with your change, their change is going to be to fall off. But if their change is aligned and they are impacted by the changes you're making, it's going to elevate their lives. It's going to change things in them and for them. So it has to start with us, no matter what mistakes you made, no matter how many.
Forgive yourself, sis. Forgive yourself.
Yeah,
That
please
grace.
do.
Start.
This panoramic has been a big grace period. It's like consistently checking in with yourself, checking in with your money. If you haven't, you got that stimmy, you got whatever.
Hey.
Take that you got from them people and realign yourself. It's like, how do I love to say it? Budgeting and having all that money and aligning yourself. That's self-care. So rather if you can't go to the spa, rather if you can't, what can you start doing to make sure that your budget is not in red? What can you do with setting up your kids for them to have a Roth IRA? How can you set them up to and teach them? I learned about investing from my dad. I learned about saving from my mom. And granted, we weren't seen well in the community. We weren't seen as being wealthy, but those mannerisms stayed longer than the money did.
Yes.
And it helps solidify. So it's just that whole, like you were saying, Joy, is that solidifying the self-care within all of this. And during a panorama, it's a lot of people depressed. A lot of people depressed. They're spending money. It was that thing that we were talking about earlier about how much $900 billion people have spent online. People are depressed, and all that money came from the panorama. You have extra money. You're not going to work. You have a mood. You're in a mood, and you're spending. It's like giving yourself grace. So I spent too much money in 2020. Here's what I learned from that. Here's how can I position myself better so 2021 can be even better, because I want to come out of this panorama better than I came in, and we have the resources and stuff.
We do.
Yes.
Grace and self-care.
Your finances. Taking care of your finances is a self-care act. Like,
it
is. To me, it is the ultimate self-care act, because if you like going to the spas and you don't have your finances in order, sis, it's not adding up. So, taking care of your money is the ultimate self-care.
Let's talk about self-care not only being about buying things or going to the spa or doing those. Self-care is peace of mind, individual freedom, having a heart that's pure, doesn't have any hatred or any ill malice against other people.
Yes, meditating.
Being a place where you live in a place of harmony. Like, creating that for your life is so much, that's wealth, right?
Yeah.
It's great to have money, but you don't want to have money sad and sick and depressed and all of these things. You want to have money where you are at a place where you are living on your cloud nine.
That's the
a bad mood scares the money away. Okay.
Look, you're going out spending money because you sad and you depressed. No, go out and spend money because you feel goddamn good. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because you have harmony, because you have peace, because you have love, because you have healthy relationships around you, because you created a life for yourself that really works and that's really building things for you, not just about, I need self-care and a massage because I'm stressed out. That's a limit. Let's limit.
I'm over here like, yes, Pastor Joy. Yes.
Pass the plate, y'all. Pass the plate. This is why I invited Joy.
You have less stress in your life. Every person, you have less stress in your life when you have less money problems.
Oh my God, that's facts. I mean, I think, and I want to speak to it, right? Like, when Panorama first hit, I was the one who was all about Amazon. It was like, this is my high for the day. I get a package. There must have been weeks where I got like little packages every day. And I looked at, what I did, and I was like, whoa, like, I'm squandering, like, for me, and I want to talk about me, right? This was the conversation I had with myself was, look, I got this opportunity to save money and I'm spending it. And I was like, and it's not making me feel good for more than 5 minutes, because after that, it's done. It's like, what's really going to make me feel good is not having this on my back.
I know.
And if I
those money,
get rid of it. What did you say, Joy?
I said, talking to Coach Joy. Let's work through that.
That too, and the thing is
Right.
that people out here think that financial coaches, retirement coaches don't need help. Like, yo, your therapist got a therapist, your coach got a coach.
Exactly.
Trust me when I say we all
Mm-hmm.
have to, or not even have to, but we get the opportunity
Oppor-
to speak to other people and get
Use
poured
yourself as an
into.
example. I use
Yeah, like,
myself as an example yesterday was saying I cut this and this is when I cut this. This is what I did with that. And I'm able to take this, put it into a sinking fund. Oh, to do what? To invest in something more. It's like I don't want people to, oh, you're so perfect. No, I am the
no.
example of this is the I like to have the bag and be the bag. So this is what I'm doing.
Right.
But it's like that whole thing through and like you were saying, D, is that people having money meetings is not just such a nice, cute thing to say. It's that during this pandemic, meeting with your money to know what's going in, what's coming out, how you're feeling right now, how's that going on to your streamlines of how different things are going, and not just checking your bank account whenever you're waiting for a check to come in and when you're getting ready to check out to make sure there's enough money in there.
Let's talk about money as a relationship, right?
It is a relationship. It can be
Dating.
toxic like Future, or it could be like Russell. Which one did you want? Do you want to be toxic like Future, or do you want to be Russell? I take Russell.
I want Russell.
So many people are stuck.
No pun to the stock market to Russell 500. But I'm just saying, I'll take Russell. Okay.
You want to a healthy relationship with your money.
Yes.
Your relationship with your money is just like your relationship with people that's around you. You want it to be healthy. You don't want it to be toxic. You want it to be fulfilling, not draining. But the only way that any relationship gets better is when you invest in it. So if you're not investing your money with your money and in the relationship, you can't expect that relationship to get any better if you're not doing your part.
You gotta check in with your relationships, girl. You gotta know how's it going, dude.
Don't just be
am I nurturing you enough? Am I
these late
what's
night
your love
texts?
language? Is your love language?
What is your love language? Now, are we being intimate enough? Do we have intimacy? How about that? Do you have intimacy with your money?
Right.
Okay, intimacy, because a lot of us look at money like it's just here to be used, right? Do we even recognize the difference between having money and having wealth? And recognize like that, like I'm just asking questions.
And here's the conversation.
This is like the journey, right? And how intimate are we willing to be with money? Look, I heard this quote the other day, and I'm gonna share it, right? Because I think that it's important. I heard it from one of my political folks in DC, and it's amazing. So he put it out here. He was like, everybody want to be honest, but nobody wants the truth.
Hey, that's
I was like,
that's one of my favorite sayings. Yes.
I say that a little
that
bit
snatches all your edges, honey, and leave it behind. Okay.
Different way. I say everybody wants the milk, but nobody wants to milk the cow, right?
If you want to say everybody want to shine like Diddy, nobody want to work like Puff.
Put in their time, right?
I'm just saying.
Wait, I love that everybody want to shine like Diddy, but nobody wants to work like Puff.
Yeah.
Because Puff worked his behind off from the age of 18 to get where he is right now. Even with the shiny suits, he was always doing work. I remember when Puff wanted to run the marathon and they did that live. I don't know, I might be aging myself right now, but I remember the work he put in to be able to run the New York Marathon. And people out here don't understand the work that it takes. And it's so many, it's not failing, it's failing forward.
And that goes back to the whole conversation of generational wealth, because if Puff didn't work like Puff, meaning you didn't have that person in your family, it takes someone to be radical to create generational wealth. It's the same that everybody been sharing on their Instagram. And if they didn't have that, it wouldn't be big. It wouldn't be all of that. So who are you? Are you going to be the radical person within your family to set those conversations to actually get a plan, a curated plan, actually see it through so you can shine like Diddy?
Right. And a reminder, radical don't mean that you got to be out here throwing money like you know what I mean? You in your
like that cousin that like to
video.
show up at the funeral that act like they got the most money, but they really ain't
right. Like you don't need to show up with like the church hat and the fur coat in order to be radical. Like radical is having a quiet conversation. Radical is deciding that, oh no, I'm gonna set an appointment with the estate lawyer and we're gonna talk about this. Radical is, you know what, here's some options, 3 options for long-term insurance, and I'm passing it to you and we can follow up in 3 days. That's radical. It's not some big,
in that
hairy,
discipline.
audacious goal type thing. It's sometimes it's the smallest things that have the most impact, and that in and of itself is radical.
It is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And somebody, which are these people on this live, have to be the ones who are willing to be the radical ones in your family. You have to be the one that is willing to start to create that change. You have to be the one that's willing to have these uncomfortable conversations. How many times did y'all hear last year? We've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. We have to have these uncomfortable conversations. All right, y'all. Let's take some of our own medicine. Let's have these conversations with our family members. Let's have these conversations with our spouses. Let's have these conversations with our children. Because just like I said earlier, I'll be damned if I let my grandparents' hard work go to waste. I will also be damned if I work hard and give entitled children who disrespect money my wealth. So,
listen.
All right. So we have
no,
to
are we gonna talk about that for a second? This expectation that kids are supposed to have your money and supposed to, like, look, I ain't even got a goldfish. I want to be the first one to say it. I killed plants. I did not have a goldfish. I do not have my kid yet, but I know I am going to have a child in my life. And I want to talk about the fact that, look, this is my money.
About this earlier. Yep.
I need you to recognize the fact this ain't your money. Like, this is my money. And we need to figure out, and we could talk about it, how you going to get your money, because you got your whole life to make money. I want to make sure that you're a good human while you're at it. You know what I mean? But, like, are we going to talk about, like, this idea that everything needs to be done for the kids and not anything be done for you?
Let me jump in really quick on this, because this right here like touches my soul right here, right? So look, I know it touches. I'm like over here like biting my tongue. So look, let's talk about this thing of we in our culture, in our generation, we are doing our kids a huge disadvantage by allowing them to live off of your money and your salary, thinking that this is the way of life, without teaching them the proper principles of what it means to save and what it means to build and what it means to work and what it means to do the things so they can have. What's happening a lot is that you give and give and give to these kids, and you buy them all the stuff and do all the things. That kid is getting comfortable with the habit of having. We have to break the habit of having, because when that kid becomes 22 and graduates from college, they are going to be on a salary that's not going to be your salary that you didn't work 20 or 30 years for. And they have to readjust. Why so many young adults make so many bad decisions when it comes to money, because they're still living on their parents. They're living with a mindset that they have their parents' money, but they have money. So we have to do a better job of stop being overzealous with our kids and all this stuff and getting them all the things. Sweetheart, if you are not working, you are not getting, right? If
right.
It doesn't work, doesn't eat. That's what they told me, honey.
Over you cannot get much. We have to teach our kids this and really understand. So I used to tell my kids, I have a lobster budget. Budget. We're not going to do the same things. We're not going to do the same things. You're going to eat.
Yeah.
But you can't eat and you can't do the things I do because you don't have the money I have. Right? But put yourself in a position. You get money, save it. Buy just stop just giving. Give your kids money. Allow them to build a relationship with money. Allow them to understand what it means to have, what it means to save, what it means to spend, and God damn it, what it means when you spend all your money and you don't have any. I'm sorry.
Exactly. And that's one of the things I had a conversation with a parent last week. They do to start establishing their kids when it comes financially, having this checking account, having the savings account, getting them to invest. Starting, if you want to invest, where do you want to start investing at? What things are you interested in? Do you play PlayStation all day long? Why you don't have any Sony stock? They perform well. So having that conversation is not necessarily, not giving, but not necessarily giving, but guiding them with the money that they could have.
So y'all know
I don't have kids, but I'm just speaking.
Because I've got 3 little kids. So, and y'all know I'm big on this. So I make my kids work. My children are going to understand that when they want money for the toys that they see on TV or the toys that they see in Target, that comes from the fruits of their labor. They will not be, the children that are entitled. So when, as I'm setting up these 529s and these UTMA accounts for them, when they get this money, I don't expect them to blow it, because they'll understand that they need to save some money. They need to give some money. They need to invest some money. Then they can spend some money, right? They'll understand all these different aspects. But those are conversations that we have from a young age. And we were talking about having uncomfortable conversations with our parents. That is something that we didn't do with as like our parents didn't necessarily do with us, right? I grew up in a household, Nadia, I'm not speaking for you, but a lot of us, we grew up in houses where we didn't have those conversations.
And that was the reason why my dad did that.
Adult conversation, right? So I wasn't in on any money conversation. So we have to break that stigma, because this is why, one of the reasons why the wealth gap is so large, because we are not having the dialogue. Again, we don't have to physically pass down money, but if you share that information, that knowledge can be endless. Go ahead.
It's interesting. And so this is a stat that I talked about on my platform a long time ago, and I might bring it back up again. About 71% of Gen Xers and millennials know absolutely nothing about their parents' finances.
Not a thing.
Like 71%. And I think part of it comes from this idea that our parents want to be our superhero, right? They don't want to show that they are human and that they don't do things well or have.
Tell the truth. Parents don't want to show that they ass is broke, right? They want to flex for their kids. They want to buy all this.
They want to flex with Instagram, child, and their kids.
They want to be about, baby.
I seen one today.
On credit. I got credit that I bought this on. I'm trying to maintain this lifestyle, but no, have a conversation with your kids. No, we broke.
Right. Right. Like, and there's this idea, like, how do you have a conversation with your kid to say, look, we're broke, but it's also not your responsibility to fix everything, right? Because you have kids who will be out here like, oh, well, how can I help? And I love that. Yeah. But I also want to recognize your job is to be the kid. And again, I don't have a kid. I don't have a goldfish. I used to kill plants. I'm just being real, but I'm also recognizing what the relationship I do want to have with my kid is. And I want to recognize the fact that, like, yo, your job is to be a kid and to become aware, like, yo, sometimes it's going to be tight. Sometimes we're not going to be able to go out. You do not become used to something that, we can't afford to do. This is a treat. You're not getting this every Friday. Like, we need to have a conversation about this. And I think it's like a lot of that, like, it's the same for my parents, right? Like, I always just thought that they had it together. Like, they seemed like they had it together. They had IRAs and pensions and, 401ks. And then, they got packages to retire early. So for me, it was like, oh, y'all good. Y'all good. But the thing is like, it's
smoke
not.
And mirrors, child.
It's smoke and mirrors. They didn't even know what smoke and mirrors, but more they
didn't even know what they had when they had it. So just like those plans, they probably couldn't read.
They didn't really know what they
had. Voice in my head. I don't know.
They didn't really know what they had.
They don't know what it is. They just know that they had that. They had no indication on what information that they did have access to. Rather, it's not what we have, and they did not know how to use it.
Right. I think what really shocked me the most was when I asked my father, I was like, so when's the last time you looked at your life insurance policy? And he was like, I can't recall ever looking at it. And I literally was like, so I'm gonna need you to give me a copy so I can read the policy, not just to have it. I want to read it. Like, what's in it? Like, what's the benefit? Like, what does it do? You know what I mean? And it was crazy because I was like, you should be looking at your life insurance policy every year. They make updates and changes every year.
Changed. Everything gets
every
year.
Your
rider gets changed.
Terms and conditions. It's like applications and websites. It changes every year, and you get a nice little email that says, oh, we've updated the following, and if you want to read it, click here. How many people ignore that?
How about
a lot?
I can tell you a lot. Infamous words that says, everywhere that you see, read here. People are bypassing the read here because people
I read that.
Everything you need to know is in words, is in writing, is in books.
It's in that small font at the bottom that you don't want to read through.
All stuff. You gotta read all that stuff because it makes such a huge difference. I want to say one thing real quick is that I think that when we're talking about creating generational wealth, we have to start helping younger people to realize they have the advantage of time, helping others realize they have the advantage of wisdom. We both have to tap into the advantages that we have. When we're talking about young kids, instead of buying you're spending all this money on Christmas for your kids, spend money by putting into an IRA, spend money by putting into something that's going to build wealth for them, spend money on investment stocks and all those things, because they have the advantage of time. I'm quite sure you guys know, but the statistics of understanding compound interest, put money away.
Oh, Rule 72, honey.
Compound interest is like the power key of everything. Put money away when your kids are 12 and 13 and 14, $100 in an IRA. That $100 will accumulate. The compound interest will allow them to build money and have $1 million by the time they're 40 or 50 years old. You know what I mean? Like, we have to do, we talking about everybody wants to be a millionaire. Everybody can if you save your money and put it away and do the things you need to do with it. But we have
to diversify it too.
Yeah, diversify. But start.
Seriously, it's crazy. It's like, now everybody's talking about what we was talking about earlier before the pre-call was like the whole UGMA, UTMA. Everybody now trying to, it's only $529. Nah, sis, you can have your kids and all these other things to generate wealth, and you're creating passive income at a compound interest. Imagine what that's going to be. Your child can go to work, go to college if they want to, or they can start a business.
And let's talk about businesses, right? Let's talk about business owners. Kids, you can pay your kid. Talk to your tax.
Oh yes,
you can pay your kid $1,200 a year, $12,000.
Yeah,
$12,000.
I was gonna get you, sis. It was all right.
To your kids, like, do the things and then put that money and pay them, and then do the work so it works for them and works for you. Not
stop saving screenshots and start doing shit. You save the screenshots, you have it all. You see everybody talking about it. You see us talking about it. Take the shit and do it. It's like
just take the do it.
Just do it. Again. Stop screenshotting and start utilizing having analysis paralysis and actually do it. Yes. If it don't work, guess what? You can do it another way.
Yes, I think, something that we kind of touched on earlier, and I love that you just mentioned it again, Nadia, is because I think as a community, we get so afraid to fail, right? Like, this $100, like, I could do this, and this with this $100. Or do I really want to invest it? Do I really want to do this? It might lose money. We have to stop thinking like that, because there's a lot of people who don't think like that, which is why the wealth gap is the way it is. They are taking their money and they're taking risk and chances with their money. We have to start living. And that goes back to mindset too. You have to get out of, that's a poverty and lack mindset. You have to get out of that. You have to get into that mindset that, okay, I'm gonna put this money out there and this money is going to make money for me. We have to culturally stop. We have to culturally stop. The attack. Culturally, we have to stop with that fear of investing, the fear of the unknown, and fear of, if we do something with this money, it might be the end of us and it might ruin us. We have to be willing to take some calculated risks so that we can propel ourselves forward.
Well, you know what? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joy, and then I'll kick it.
Okay. I think too is like understanding success, right? Understanding success and failure. Nobody gets to success. Nobody gets to success without failure. It's all a learning lesson. Success comes after failure and after learning and after trying again. I put up a post the other day. Success, you know what they do? They keep going and keep going and keep going and keep growing. Like, it's the thing. You don't get to success by holding it. You get to success by trying. By
hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work. I mean, I'm just saying that's true. You have to work hard at it, and you can't say, "Oh, I wanted my child to be LeBron." LeBron works out crazy. No, you can't say you want to be Beyonce. Beyonce works out crazy. You can't say you want to have this wealth and then talk about Jeff Bezos, but then you don't want to look at the tax law, so you don't have to pay taxes. Like a company I know that I give a lot of money to. But it's just this whole thing is that, like you said, Joy, it's that the whole repetition of doing something, you fail at it, guess what? Okay, this didn't work. Why didn't it work? Let me go ahead and redo it this way. Let me try it that way. It's yeah.
So let me add this food for thought, right? Because I just wrote it down. I don't know about y'all, but I've been writing down some of the gems. Okay, you're gonna see this on my feed going forward.
This is content creation.
This quote.
I was just like so many gems, but I wanna say this, and because one big thing that I have is really talking about decolonizing retirement, right?
Yes,
Decolonizing and taking out kind of maybe the white constructs that have been put around various aspects of financial literacy and financial empowerment. And so let's talk about the fact that there is within the community, there is kind of this underlying fear of failure, right? Like we can't fail when we do something, because when we fail as an individual, it reflects on our community. But what I'm here to tell you is that fear of failure is a white construct. It's a white construct. This is something that was created to keep us from actually moving forward. And look, I got my white brethren and sistren that I love, okay? But we have to talk about the fact that this is a white construct that actually keeps us exactly in place. When you have failure, and this is something that took me a while to learn, y'all. I'm not sitting here acting like I was some daggone born guru and got this from birth, because I did not. This took me a minute.
Birth, but I still failed. Girl, go ahead.
Right? Exactly. But I want to make this one point. Right? Failing, right? I want you to stop saying I failed. And I want you to start saying, I'm failing forward, okay? Because
it's like a negative tone at the whole thing about failing, and you're not saying fail forward, but if you hear it in someone else's situation, they approach it as failing forward, but if you just hear the forward is silent in the culture.
Exactly. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to say that, because I'm like, if you start thinking about how you're failing forward, because I'm going to tell you something right here, that fail that you took, I'm going to tell you that there are 1,000 people, 10,000 people, 100,000 people, 1,000,000 people that never even took the risk. And guess what? They are going to be X amount of steps behind you because you took the risk. And the more that you learn, and as you fail forward and you grow, thank you. I should put it on a t-shirt. Thank you, sweetheart.
Just make it a V-neck for me.
Like, the more that you fail forward, guess what? It literally propels you forward. In the direction that you want to go. So I just wanted to kind of leave that with y'all in terms of, like, every time you think to yourself, oh, I failed, I want you to start to give yourself a little trigger and say, nah, I failed forward.
Even that L gives you leverage. I say that all the time. L's give you leverage. Hell, Amazon, I love banker Amazon into it. Amazon failed. Microsoft failed.
It did.
I mean, all of them has failed.
Apple failed.
They showed miserably.
That's what
I'm just saying. They did.
No.
Wait, what's Joy saying? I can't hear you, Joy. Go ahead, say it again.
I said everybody failed. There's no success without failure. And
You leverage that L is all in your perspective, and that perspective determines your position.
Absolutely. You said something, D. You said, understanding, like, the culture and the constraints that's put on it. People as humans are amazing individuals. However, the culture has a race of resiliency, and we have a race of excelling, and we have a race that is empowered to do amazing things. However, when you that thoughts that somebody put into your head of you failed and you're a failure, that's bullshit to keep you stuck. That's bullshit behind the gate. That's bullshit to brainwash your mind to keep you from moving forward, because people know how great you are. If you can tap into your own greatness and your possibilities and capabilities of what you can do, and believe me, you can do anything that you want to do. You just have to break through those constraints that try to keep you down and try to keep you falling, because it's those things that get put into our head of you're a failure. If you don't do this, you're a failure. But it's like, no, I'm not a failure. I'm fucking capable, right?
And our culture loves struggle. I don't know why our culture loves struggle.
And I'm going to be intentional about, no,
Seriously.
I'm going to show you, right?
Exactly.
I'm going to change the narrative. We have to be the our own history. We have to begin to change the narrative of what we want instead of what somebody else is telling us. Don't let nobody else write your story by telling you
Nope.
I tried. Give me
What did I just posted about? I posted a Beyonce thing the other day. Alexa, play Beyonce bigger. She said, take the pen and rewrite it. Like, we have the ability to rewrite this story. We are redefining what our lives look like. Again, not just for ourselves, right? We're doing ourselves first. Then we can take care of the mamas. Then we can take care of the cousins. Then we can take care of the kids. But again, like, this is a community thing. Like, we have to take care of ourselves so we can take care of the community. This financial literacy, financial empowerment, generational wealth, intergenerational wealth is literally for the culture.
It really is.
Look, and it's all about empowerment. And stop thinking that just because your light shine bright, you're gonna put out somebody else's light. Shine, please.
Child, is your lights even on?
Oh.
Well, damn.
Don't be trying to the deal someone lights about to get meaning make sure your shit is together before you try to expose someone else's shit. That's what, if I'm gonna say this, that's why I hate, I'm not gonna say hate, so this is a strong word. Some people in the community, the finance community, not gonna say his name, love to shame people into, oh, I did this right. I did this. I didn't do that right. We love struggle. I don't know. I mean, struggle. I don't get it. Why can't we be having these conversations to say, if you brought a latte at Starbucks,
it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's all right.
Because you got stars.
Points and miles.
It's okay.
Also, buy some stock.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, it's like this whole thing, like, we have to either be successful or we have to be struggling. It's like either or. It's not, we can't be balanced. And I'm not understanding, why do we have to shame people into wealth?
So Nadia, I have this thing that I say a lot. One thing that we fail to do oftentimes is we make everybody else rich, but we fail to make ourselves rich, right? We pay everybody else, but we don't pay ourselves.
Baby,
I'm okay with you going to get the latte, but if you spending $6 on a latte, put $6 in your savings account. If you buy it costs $1,000, put $1,000 in your savings account.
And that whole thing, George, is what you just said. This whole thing going around on social media, you can't save yourself the wealth. Say who? The compound interest? Oh, capital gains? Oh, you can't do that. But I have somebody on my public saying, oh, I see where Stripe is getting ready to go public, so I'm getting ready to save so I can buy that stock. We're not having that conversation.
And we could have that you can budget for whatever you want, right?
Okay, Joy, can you say that over again? Because I want to make sure everybody else heard it, because you were messing with the phone. Tiffany was messing with the phone, and I didn't hear you. Go ahead and say it again, please.
Because the thing was going dead. I know.
Girl, the struggle. Y'all saw my sweatpants. I'm business on the top, on the bottom.
I got my charger over here. I already knew.
I was just saying that we have to be intentional about stop making everybody else rich, right? Pay yourself. Like, I understand you want to have the things and you want to do the things, but don't have the things and do the things if you're not taking care of your own self. Because when you spend money, you are adding to someone else's bottom line and you're taking away from your own bottom line. Make sure that your bottom line is growing as much as the other person's bottom line is growing. If you're going to spend money, pay you too.
Yeah, pay yourself. Again, that's
why everybody buys sneakers. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yes, because you
buy those Jordans. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, the stock. Yeah, keep buying the shoes. Keep buying the shoes.
Keep doing it.
Getting rich. Keep on doing it.
Y'all, we said that we was gonna try to keep this to like 45 minutes to an hour.
I know what we want. That's why I'm plugging my phone up now.
Here we are.
I mean, but see, this is why you keep it plugged in from the beginning, and you ain't got to worry about it. Yeah,
girl.
So.
But it was plugged in, but then it wasn't plugged into the wall.
What? Well, I mean, I know.
So I'm gonna give you that pass. Friday's tomorrow.
I mean, I know we said 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you guys have questions, put them in the chat. Okay, we'll do if you have questions, we'll do a quick Q&A. But the wrap up was we were going to just quickly just talk about, what are one or two things that you are specifically doing to create this intergenerational wealth. Who wants to go first?
I don't mind going first.
Go
So
first.
my
I was gonna say you anyway. Go ahead.
my going.
I felt you had a word in your shining eye.
I did. My going
Mm-hmm.
also comes with a little bit of vulnerability and
Mm-hmm.
and exposure and failure, right? Because I didn't learn about this financial stuff when I was growing up. Nobody taught me the things that I know. I learned through living life, through learning and continuing educating myself. However, I have 3 kids, right? And my kids are, I don't know, they're 23. Yeah, I think they're 23, 21, somewhere around there, somewhere around that age. But so my goal for the mistakes that I made of not buying property when I was 20, not investing in an IRA when I was 20, not saving money when I was 20. My thing is that my generational change and my impact is to do that for my kids, right? So I educate my kids. All of them have IRAs that they put money in, right? All of them are working on building credit and understanding what money means. I'm all saving money to buy property because the goal is buy property as soon as you can, as you can, so you can have investment that's going to be assets for you when you get older, right? So it's really about creating and correcting the things that went wrong in my own journey, in my own life, and helping to empower not just my kids, but everybody else, helping them learn from the mistakes and helping them to rewrite the story and helping them to create the thing by the mistakes and the failures that were made in the past, right? Lots of mistakes and failures, but everything that I went through and everything that I grew from and everything that I learned from put me in the place where I am today, where I am at the place where I am about empowerment. I'm a people advocate. I love the people. I love all the things. And I am a believer that there is possibility and there is opportunity for everyone to live an amazing life. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When you're ready to do better, when you're ready to get out the struggle, when you're ready to create, and when you can get beyond this struggle mindset, this poverty mindset, there's so much available to you. So it's really for myself. It's about helping to educate and empower other people that they can, despite what their past has been, but doing the right things now. And so really taking my lessons and then sharing them with other people, and especially my kids, so they can begin to change that narrative generation by generation.
I love it. All right, hang on one second. We did get one question.
Okay.
Wait, can you guys see them? Oh, there it is.
Yes.
All right, so
Unless
what type of life insurance do you advocate for? Nadia, did you want to touch on that? Because I will not.
Depending on
Look, Nadia say the answer is always it depends.
It depends. Yeah, it depends on, do you have any? And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this. Please do not depend on just your employer's life insurance policy to be the end all be all. Why? Whenever you leave, that policy gets transferred to the next body coming in. Just like it's a business like it's a corporation, it's a business transaction. Their life insurance policy, more than likely, they got a discount on it, and it's a business transaction for them. So depending on this, if you feel that I can say this, but my whole life policy, it depends on how much I'm going to have allocated. Work with someone to figure out what's your budget. If you feel that a whole life is too much, as one, tell it down to a term, and then whenever that term is ended, you can flip it over to a whole. But the thing is, don't just have one. Give $1 a plan. So if you have one, will be for your burial, another one can be for your investment property, and then another one can be for whatever you want to have for your kids to split however much. But it depends on your financial objectives, and that is one thing that I have been driving to people lately. Having the objectives or goals for your money is so important. And the thing goes back to life insurance. I have an article that breaks down all of them the same.
I wish
break down a good heart.
I want to give hearts.
But it's just, the thing is that you have a financial objective. You want to know, this is what I want to do. This is my intention. These are my goals. These are the financial vehicles that I have, and this is different things that I can do to align it. So to say which life insurance policy should you get, it depends. It depends on where you are. You have done a money check, you know financially where you want to be, you know where you are, and you know where you're going to go. Then you want to know what intentions you have for now and when you pass away, and then what kind of life insurance policies align. So again, as Joy would know, she probably felt in my spirit. It's going to be on. It depends.
Right.
And I think
Can I just add one piece to that?
I add a part too.
So I wanna make sure people start to also consider hybrid life insurance.
Yes.
Where hybrid life insurance is really investing for long-term care for our elders. You know what I mean? Like, I think we all have had an elder or two that has experienced, maybe somebody taking advantage of them, or they're living in a house that they can't take care of. And you got to kind of consider, like, at a certain age, how are they being cared for and how much is it going to cost? Right. And so I think on average, so for daycare, okay, for like elder or senior daycare, it is like $1,600 a month on average. All right. On average for a semi-private room. We're not talking private. We're talking semi-private room. I just checked the numbers. It's about $7,000 a month. A month, brother, like a month. And I didn't mean to call you brother, but I need you to understand. I felt that in my soul. Because if you really want to like take care of your people, it's like, but it costs on average $7,000 a month. I know the Biden administration, they're investing more money into home care right now. I think it's about $400 million. It's going to be focused on, our seniors and home care and them being able to receive care in the home. But until that happens, I need folks to start thinking about like, what happens to my parents when they hit 70, 80, 90, 60, God forbid there's an accident.
People are living longer.
You know what I mean? We really want to make sure that we're looking at all insurance options and not just, kind of looking at like death benefits.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that's also something to consider.
And you get life insurance policies for your kids too.
Oh, I was going to say that, like, parents, if you get life insurance policy for your kids, again, you're building, they have the benefit of age, which means that their life insurance is cheaper for you to get it now. And
that cash benefit,
that those rates don't raise when they get older. You are saving them, saving you, and you're creating a financial plan. But something Nadia said I want to really kind of highlight is that Nadia talked about knowing your financial goals, right? Knowing your financial goals. And I think even before you get to your financial goals, becoming very clear on your life values. What are your values, and what do you make your choices and your decisions based on? And when you are clear on your values, you can put goals in place that align with your values, that get you to the place that you want. But if you don't know your goals, you shooting a shot that you don't know where you're shooting. So you have to be
hustling backwards.
Very clear about your goals, so all right, what choices, because at different levels and stages of our lives, our financial goals are going to be different. Nadia just said people are living longer. So there's so many people that are about this retired life, right? I'm going to retire from my job when I'm 40, and I'm going to retire from my job. I did this calculation of, if you retire from your job at 40, people are living until they're 90, right? That means that they're living
30 plus years in retirement, 30, 40.
Do you have enough money to give you a quality of life for 50 years? Right. Or are you putting yourself in a position where you're going to have to go be a greeter? No, greeters at Walmart, but you're going to have to go at Walmart in order to get money. Put yourself in a position and know that if you want to retire at an early age, what does that look like to you from a financial perspective? What debt do you have? What obligations and liabilities do you have? Like,
what income streams do you have? Are you just relying on Social Security? Do you have a 401k? Do you have a pension? Oh, do you also have an annuity? Annuity is not sexy.
Do you have it? Have you checked all the boxes? I think that's a good one because, you know, like not having financial goals, like not having a full financial vision, like what does your life look like financially? You're spinning your wheels. You're going nowhere fast.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, when people have a hard time spending money, they have a hard time getting out of debt, they have a hard time investing and seeing growth. It's because you have no goal. You don't know where you're going. So you're spinning your wheels. So it really is important to have a goal first. And there was 2 more questions that I kind of missed. So let me go back. My bad. All right. So she asked about what were our thoughts on 529s. And I don't even know if she's still in here. So I started my children with 529s because education is important to me. And I wanted to start them with a 529. Oops, sorry guys. So I have 3 kids and they're young. So I only contribute a certain amount to their 529s. I'm going to be adding UTMA accounts to I'm going to be adding up my accounts going into next year. Again, just looking at my financial plan for my life, my children, because that way that money doesn't have to be used only for education. But another thing with the 529s, they can be used for more than just college, which is a big misconception. So, you know, if you're thinking that my kids, I don't want to force my kids to go to college, you can use 529s for different things. So 529s are not bad. Most states, they're tax deductible. So, you know, there's tax benefits to doing 529s. And then, you know, with the UTMAs and UGMAs, you know, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, when your children become a certain age, legally, you have to give them that money. So, you know, it was something that I had to kind of really consider when I was thinking about which one to do first, because do I want to give my children, you know, an account at 21 that has X amount of dollars? And that's a kind of scary thought. But again, we're working diligently to raise children who will be, you know, fiscally responsible. So, you know, by the time they inherit that money, I feel pretty good that they'll be in a good spot. But 529s are where I started, just because, you know, education is important and you can use it for more than just college. Anybody else want to jump in on that one?
I think you hit it. I just say you hit it. Like that's my thing. You can do a 529, but also diversify and some other options that will also be a benefit as well. So don't limit yourself to just one. Other thing.
So I do the 529s just to our state's tax deduction, and then that's it.
You can stair step different things. If you can only do a 529 right now, then probably depending on how old or young your kids are, that's how you should make that plan, is that you can only do a 529 because they're about, you know, be out the house, or they just coming out the whatever. That you can stair step for 0 to 3. This is what I'm going to go ahead and do and try to knock that out. And then from here to here, you can stair step different things.
Yeah, I like that. And then the last question, are you ladies in the stock market? Parent Avengers.
Yeah.
We in there.
Yeah. Everybody should be.
Yeah.
Everybody should be. Even if you can't do a lot, do a little, right? Like do something.
You start. The scale is in the start. That's how Warren Buffett got. He started somewhere, and that's the thing, is that everybody thinks that you have to have a couple hundred, a couple thousand to start. I told somebody today they were able to buy 1 share, and to go back again what we were talking about earlier. If you don't have enough money to get into this, you can buy fractional shares. You can buy ETFs. You can start doing things. You can start saving, so you can go ahead and invest in that. It's stop allowing the situation to stagnate you. So if you can't get to it, you can't buy a share of Amazon right now, you can buy a fractional share. And they do acquire capital gains and for some companies dividends over time. So just start shit.
And the thing is, don't try to, like, you can't get to the mountaintop without going up the mountain. Right? So
Exactly.
Steps. Do what you can, but as long as you're doing something that's going to build you that's going to get you to the mountaintop. So I think everybody should have some piece of the puzzle in the stock market, because that's how people are winning. That's how people are building, you know, more, exchanging more financial energy, that money energy that's out there. So
I think, you know, we can't negate the fact too that, you know, if you have an account with your employer, if you have a 401k, if you have an IRA, you are also in the market. So, you know, you don't have to be a day trader and you know, you don't have to be on Robinhood or anything like that. Like, you know,
Please don't be on.
oh, that's another one.
Yeah.
Am I gonna get booed for that one too, Nadia?
Please
It's
don't.
two words I'm not supposed to say now. Yeah, so,
But
but you don't have
what
to be
you
a
were
day.
saying though is that you're retired, and this is what you were saying. You're going into what I was going to say. Don't just have a 401k and stuff, and don't check this shit. Your employer pays a service fee to the people. They pay for you to talk to the people. If you can't talk to us, you can talk to Chad.
So you know something
due to a service charge.
You know,
I'm just saying.
else about 401k. I think people are not educated enough to understand 401k. This is what I tell people that 401k is not for your benefit. 401k is for your employer's benefit. However, if they match and they give you money, take their money. Take their money as their money, but don't be at a place where you are over investing more than what they're giving you into their 401k. Take whatever extra that you would get your own IRA and put it in your own stocks and be able to manage your own things, because they're choosing things that works for them, and what works for them may not necessarily work for you, but whatever they're giving you, take it.
Take their money.
Yeah, like, you know, something that I like to talk about is one of the best things that ever could have happened to me was I set up time with a fee-only CFP, Certified Financial Planner, and had them look at my 401k and was like, make changes based on what you think it should be, as opposed to what I did, because I had all of my money in like the most non-performing fund that you could ever have. I didn't know enough. Exactly. I did not know enough at the time. And, you know, I was just like, can I send this to you? And he was like, yeah, send it to me. In 5 minutes, he made an allocation and rebalanced it. And when I tell you, Hunty, okay, first of all, this past quarter, all right, I literally was like, okay, I'm over here like I'm about to buy a bag, y'all. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really gonna buy a bag, but I felt like it in the moment, right? Because I was like, I made so much money in one quarter. Like, my returns were ridiculous to a certain extent. And it's like, you can work or manage or have somebody else manage your 401k or TSP for federal employees. And you don't have to like pay for somebody to look at it, you know, every month. You can have a one-time, you know, one shot, review all of my stuff, pay a one-time fee, and get that insight and go from there. Wait, whose facial expressions dying she right? Who you talking about? What you mean?
You and Nadia are pretty animated, so probably one of y'all.
I'm just saying, like, you know, it's this idea that in order to have a financial planner, you got to be rich. In order to have a retirement coach, you got to be rich. In order to invest, you got to be rich. In order to listen, John, James, Susan, and Barry are not waiting to be rich to do these things. Why are you giving yourself rules that nobody else is following? Oh, exactly. Hey, well, you know, I try to make it interesting when I'm on here.
But all of those people that you just named, they're doing all of those things so that they can be rich, right?
Absolutely.
Because,
it's the action steps to get to it, to acquire.
I feel like this is the 401k thing. We can go into that. Like, I can go down that wormhole. Okay, there was one more question in the. Oh no, we answered them. Okay, and then so, Nadia, do you want to go next? What are you doing to create intergenerational wealth?
Due to the fact that I have no kids right now, I call my shoes kids. Due to I have any kids right now, the things that I am doing is that I have savings bonds, savings accounts designated just for my future kids. That are I invest in, I put money, I distribute, and I doing that over time. Another thing that I am doing, I'm having these conversations about investing, about rebalancing their 401k, about taking old retirement plans and rolling them over with my other family members that are younger than me. So that's one of the things that I'm doing, is having these conversations, and they show me what they purchased and they as far as stock, and I'm like, don't do that. But I'm having these conversations, but I'm also setting the foundation for whenever I do have kids, that is there. I have that wealth, that money there, But I'm also having a conversation with my mother to say, hey, how do you want to be comfortable in life? What do you currently have? When she retired, we had a conversation about what she had in place. And then we had those check-ins consistently about what are you doing? What do you want to be doing? How do you want to live? And one of the things that I want to close with is for us to consistently have these conversations and to know that it's a village, but how are you nurturing and pouring into that village? And it takes, like, again, the whole radical person, and not just having this one track mind with certain laser. It's nothing having a problem with having laser focus, but are you looking into other channels of wealth consistently? Are you tapping in with your wealth? A lot of people are talking about their 401k. We talked about 401ks today. How are you? Do you have an old 401k? Do you have an old life insurance policy that just sitting there collecting cash? Can you roll that over into an IRA? Can you go into Roth? It's just, how are you starting to have these conversations, not necessarily with your family, but with yourself? And I've been having those conversations consistently. And I was in the hospital in February, just making sure that myself was aligned. So in case something happens to me, my family is fine.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Parent Avenger said y'all need to do a workshop. This is too short. This,
short.
you know, I came up with this idea of doing this finance with friends. It was so last minute, and I asked these ladies to join me for these lives, and you know, I don't believe in coincidence. So I'm so grateful that everybody was able to join us, and I'm glad that you guys got some value out of these conversations. Okay, Joy, you are next. Miss Lady, what are you doing to create intergenerational wealth?
I already
I don't
shared.
know how to do that.
I already shared.
Oh, sorry,
D.
Did you
Yeah,
go, D?
it's D.
Sorry,
Okay,
we did
well,
that.
I have to keep everybody in line.
How you mixing me up with Pastor Joy? Huh?
My bad.
I feel like that's a thing though, Pastor Troy, Pastor Joy. I'm just saying, just want to put it out there,
Somebody
okay?
send her an offering.
Send her the plate. So with myself personally, one thing that I'm really proud of was when I bought my house, I purposely said that this was not the forever home. This is the investment vehicle. And I really treated it like that. I bought my house in the hood. There's currently like development going on. It's a little slow, but it's happening. And that to me is very important. I also house hacked. So became a landlord, rented out rooms so that I could generate more money. Another thing that I think that for me personally is very key. Again, I'm a fan of meeting with financial planners, fee only financial planners, because they work for you, okay? Not for the company, so that they can attach fees to all of your investments and make all of this dough, and you don't really make anything. So I set up meetings to find a new financial planner, because I was like, it never hurts to have some additional help with investments. My 401k is healthy. I'm literally at the point where I'm like, I just want to get rid of literally all of my revolving debt.
Yes.
Like, my mortgage is fine. You know what I mean? Like, it's a mortgage. I get it. But revolving debt, I want to get rid of. And then even with my mortgage, I'm working on my second refinance in 13 months, because I was like, why not? You know what I mean? Like, there was a part of me that was like, well, I'm not supposed to refinance in a year. And I was like, well, where's this rule? That rule doesn't really exist. Like, Jim Bob and Susan and Barry did it, so how come I'm not doing it? You know what I mean? And so those are like things that I've personally decided to do. I think in terms of intergenerational wealth, y'all know that this is my jam. I want to make sure that you guys know that everybody who's still on this call, right? I want to tell you two things. One, the average net worth of Americans between the age of 55 and 65 in savings and retirement and investment is about $212,000. Okay. I want you to take that number and ask yourself, where do your parents land in relation to that number? Because that's a starting point. It's not to make you feel bad. It's not to shame anybody. It's to ask, where are you and what should we do to get you closer? Okay. Because on average, it costs about $3,800 a month per month post-retirement to live relatively okay.
Yeah.
And the average amount of money that you get from Social Security every month on average is only about $1,534. So my question is always like, where you getting the other money from, sis?
Yeah.
Like, where is it coming from? Because if you don't have a pension, and by the way, pensions can fail.
Yes, they can. Look at Exxon.
Yep.
Pensions
Our
can
company
go
can
away.
just cut them, just shut them down at any time, because Exxon
Right.
had that whole thing happen during the panorama last year. It just stopped them.
Pensions can go away, y'all. So, I mean, I want to make sure if you don't have a pension, you don't have an IRA, you don't have a 401k, your parents don't have these things. I need you to be thinking about how you're going to make the next 20, 30, 40-year retirement with your parents and how y'all are going to be living comfortably. So that's my jam, and I love talking about it.
Can I say one thing that you mentioned, Dee, is that in the culture, we should do a better job of creating this. You said, like, I became a landlord. I rented out rooms. People, let's get to a place where if you have a house, if you have a home, create that additional income for you. If you have family members, if you have kids or cousins, if you guys can all, other people do it. If you guys can all live in a house and you guys can save $50,000, $100,000 within a year, why not do that to create that wealth? Why not put yourself in position to create different streams of income and different ways to build that wealth? I told my kids who are one, anyway, older. I told them, I'm not.
Still can't remember.
Yeah. However, they're grown. So, but I told them, I said, I'm not going to sign off, and not that they need my okay, but I'm not going to support you moving out of my house to go rent an apartment. I can't. Stay here, save your money, and when you move out of here, you're buying something. You're not moving out of here. Don't be so hasty to move out in a year to get an apartment where you can stay here for a year, save money, and you can buy something. Like, we have to start. We have to start normalizing that thing of, like, we need to create. It's not about the now, it's about building for later. And if that means you have to sacrifice us being in the house for a year, save your money. The quicker you save, the faster you can buy.
That's
well, I think it's another level. Hold on one second. I think it's another level of, we got to let go of this idea of what it's supposed to be at a certain point or stage. Like, we're supposed to be set. We're supposed to be jet setting and going everywhere. We're supposed to be living in our single family house with like this separate clawfoot tub, which I will have one day. Okay. And like, we're supposed to have like the Mercedes. We're supposed to have, the brand new 2022 Cadillac Lyric, which I will have, but it will be used. Okay. Like, we have to kind of let go of this idea of what it's supposed to be so that we can get to where we are. There was a point with my house where I just wanted to rent it out, the whole thing. And it would not rent out the whole thing. And it was like, what? And I was like, no, I'm going to hack it. I'll rent out rooms, because if I can't do the whole thing, what happens if I break it up? And there was like, I had a slight struggle moment where I was like, well, no, it's supposed to work this way. And I was like, yeah, but Heifer, it's working that way. So let's just do it this way. And by the way, I'm able to actually charge more money because I rented by the room.
So can I tell you a secret? This is, again, one of my vulnerable moments. I did not get a 529 for my kids to go to college. I didn't have that type of access and that type of information to put me there. Again, 20 years ago, 22 years ago, right? So I didn't have that in place. However, as a parent, I wanted my kids to be in a better position. What I did is that I sacrificed. When my kids, I had 2 kids in college at the same time. When they went to college, I roommated. I went to rent a room so I can cut back all of my expenses, so I can ensure that I can pay for my kids to go to college. I had this thought, there's no need of me of having this space when I have kids away at college where I can cut back my expenses, rent a room so I can pay for them to have spaces where they live in college. So I did that change, and I saved my expenses.
Where's the hearts? Do the hearts?
So many people would not have done that because they would have said, I'm not supposed to be in the stage where I have a roommate and my kids are in college. I mean, honestly, Pastor Joy, I bow down.
But
Okay,
I
bow down
saw that
business.
similar thing in Jamaica when I went, and they don't even trust the banks over there. So therefore, they go to house hacking where all the families stay there. They save up enough money so they could go and build their house without having to pay the banks for any interest. And if they can't build but one floor, they build two floors. It's just that whole thing is that we can learn from not necessarily what's going on in the United States, but from other cultures too. Because when I went to Jamaica and hearing the tour guide tell me that, he was like, "Oh, we don't trust the banks," which a lot of people now are not trusting the banks here. I'm just saying, used to work for one, so it's just like now that people don't trust. Used to work for a couple of. They don't trust the banks. So what's getting ready to happen? Cash App is getting ready to start cash management. Stash is getting ready to start cash management. All these different platforms, and they're going to take advantage of that and build that trust, because that trust was carved away as far back as slavery.
And I think we also have to stop trying to save face, right? We also got to stop trying to save status, right? Like, I have this, or I got to have this. No, like, do things that's going to put you. I'm quite sure that you have all worked with Henry or Stan, who brings his lunch to work every day in the same lunch bag, who drives the 1994 Honda, who wears the same shoes, but yet Stanley and Henry has $100,000 in the bank just sitting there, right? Like, stop being in this place where we're so busy about, oh, I got to have the biggest house and I have the biggest car. You have the biggest house, you have the biggest house note. You have the best car, you have the biggest car note. You have all these things. They also come with expenses. Put yourself in. I would rather for people to normalize having $50,000 sitting in their bank account versus having $50,000 of gear or having $50,000 for a car, right? Like, buy you a car that you can spend $10,000, $6,000. That's going to be pennies to you just to get off.
Appreciation.
Yeah, versus having zero money in a bank. There's a statistic that says 78% of Americans don't have $400 in a savings account.
It actually went up to 82% as of this year.
Listen, Nadia with the stats. Yeah. Okay, Raymond.
Look, even
actually
even higher. But
I
think it's also about like understanding what your financial goals are. Yep. Do you want to create money? Like, what do you want? What type of life do you want to live? Something I did with my kids when they were going to college, I asked them not what they wanted to go to college for. I think college is important. However, I don't think it's important for the reasons that other people think is important. It's not important for education. I think it's important for growth. It's important for networking. It's important for expanding and those things. Not really education. You can get education from anywhere. But one thing I ask my kids, not what do they want to go to college for, but tell me the life you want to live. Tell me. Let me hear about it.
That's rich.
When I sat down and they talked about, I want to have this car. I want to have this house. I want to live this place. I want to have these things. I said, sweetheart, the degree that you're going to get or that you're talking about, that salary gap for that career is not going to get you there. So you have to figure out, do you want this life or do you want this? Right? So we also have to be smart about engineering our lives as well.
Right. I think I want to add one piece to that, and I know Tiffany's probably ready to kick us off, but it's so good.
Like a parent, like, okay, y'all got to get the hell out of here.
But there's this one thing I like to talk about is the fact that, we have to recognize that we all have habits that are formed over multiple years, and even though we know we want a better life, we want to do things, quote unquote, the best way, that is a financially aware, finance mindset kind of way. We got to recognize that we all have habits that are very hard to overcome.
Absolutely.
My dad has a habit of saying, hey, so when are you getting a new car? Every couple of years, right? And it triggers me to think about new cars every single time, because that's my thing that I do with my dad. We buy cars together. That's just our thing. That's how I grew up, right? And during the panorama, I had a chance to get a new car. I was this close to getting get a new car. Mind you, my current car, I ain't got no payment on it. Mind you, my current car got less than 60,000 miles on it. Mind you, my current car is fine. But I was this close to getting a new car. And then in the back of my mind, I was like, but I said that I wanted a better life. And if I get this car,
Yes, better life.
I am not going to be able to have the life that I want to live. I'm going to have to give up money, more money for this new car, because it was an SUV. More money for this new SUV.
More insurance, like, more tax,
more everything. And I literally was like, you know, Daddy, I love you and thank you, but I'm a pass for right now. And we're gonna, like, I will wait until after I pay off 2 credit cards to consider getting another car. You know, that's gonna take me a little bit.
I paid off my car, and I used my car note money that I would pay to buy me flights. Right? It's my airfare.
And I got vacation coming up soon. Don't mess with me. And I got it with points, miles, and a super cheap ticket on United before these flights went up. But I was just like, it's just, you got to really recognize and almost talk to yourself and say, is this how I'm going to be able to live the life that I want to live? Right. And if you know it's a no, remember what I was saying earlier, everybody want to be honest, but nobody want the truth. Be truthful with yourself. Because you're willing to give up the life that you want to live so that you can have the car, or so that you can have like the $600,000 house with the jumbo loan. You know what I mean? That, you know, might be an arm, which, by the way, if it is, my God, my God, my God. You know what I mean? But like, you really got to ask yourself, is this actually getting me closer, or is it pushing me further away from the life that I want?
Yeah, exactly. And that goes back to, you know, like you said, like knowing what your financial goals are, right? Like if you have no goals, you have no idea that, you know, buying this car will set you back, will push you further away from those goals. And so just making sure that you know what your goals are, and then keeping that stuff in alignment, that it's not serving me. It's not going to get me to the place where I want to be. And so, you know, you're able to make those decisions easier. And something that we talked about last week, it's not about sacrifice. I hate the word sacrifice, right? It's about suspension. We're going to get that new car, sis. You just claimed it. We're going to get it. We're just not going to get it right now because it's not something that we need, because it's not supporting us get into this bigger picture. And we have to take a step back and look at that big picture, because we get so tunnel vision, especially with social media. It's so easy to compare ourselves with what we think we're supposed to be doing, what you see other people doing, and you feel like you have to do the same things. But if it does not serve you, it doesn't serve your life and your goals, then you can go ahead and let those go. So I am going to tell you guys what I'm doing to create intergenerational wealth. So, you know, like I said, I have 3 small children. I do teach them about money management now, because I think this is a very important conversation. It is a life skill that they need to have. And as I have these conversations with them as they're little, they get to evolve into bigger conversations. So instead of when they turn 18, I have to have conversations with them about tax and credit and insurance and all these things. I'm building upon that slowly over time. So information is one of the biggest things that I'm doing to create intergenerational wealth. And then another thing that I'm doing, you know, I'm doing a lot of the same things that you ladies are doing, but the other thing that I really want to focus on is the real estate investing. So, you know, I am, you know, developing I'm working with the developer to, you know, start building blocks in Baltimore, because if you live in or near Baltimore, you know that this city it's bad, y'all. It's rough, and it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of love, and it's going to take a lot of people who look like us to help this predominantly Black traumatized city. So that is another thing that I'm doing, is the real estate investing with the intention. Okay, we're planting that seed now, but with the intention of purchasing my family homes so that they can remain family homes. So, you know, that hard work, sacrifice, and love and dedication that my grandparents put into purchasing these houses, they will not go outside of the family. And, you know, that's assets that I could pass down to my kiddos. So, yeah, we building blocks and keeping family houses over here and sharing the knowledge.
I love it.
Thank you guys so much for joining us This was supposed to be like 45 minutes to an hour.
I knew
Like,
it
if you
wasn't.
have been
I
rocking
ain't say
with us this
anything.
whole time, I really hope that you guys got some value out of this conversation. It has been so engaging. We plan on keeping these kinds of conversations going beyond Financial Empowerment Month. So be on the lookout for us. Make sure you follow all of the ladies here tonight so that we can stay connected. But really quickly, let's start with Joy. Just tell the people how they can follow you. If you have anything going on, just give us a quick little shout out real quick.
Yes, you can follow me at Inspiring Joy Inc. On all platforms. I just finished up a money reset workshop that I will be rolling out again. It was super awesome and a lot of details. So I'll have that coming. But stay connected, because one thing that I do is that I love to drop joy drops. I love to add value, and I love to help every person just evolve. And I have some amazing things that I'm working on that I'm going to be sharing that's going to be super beneficial with regards to my nonprofit, and some things that could be beneficial to every person. So make sure you stay connected to Joy, Inspiring Joy Inc.
Okay, so I get Joy's joy drops, and like I actually get excited when I see her name pop up on my phone. Like, what's my joy drop? They're so good. Like, you've heard Pastor Joy tonight. Again, everybody has, like, if you have a coach, if you're a consultant, everybody needs a person to cheer them on and push them and motivate them. So definitely stay connected to Joy. I'm doing the live. Somebody asked when's the next meetup. I'm doing these lives every Thursday at 8 p.m. So next week we're going to be talking about, I think it's money mindset or debt. But
it's mindset.
Okay, thank you. All right, Nadia.
One more share. Just one more share. Okay. I forgot to share this. I do have a text community, and my text community is where I do drop joy drops outside of Instagram, and they're basically exclusive to my community. So if you would like to join my joy drop, I'll put the information, a number. You can text the word extraordinary, and you'll get added to my text list, and you'll get all the joy drops. And I drop in a little bit of extra stuff in there as well.
Yes, that's what I get. I get the joy drops, okay, because I'm VIP. I thought they were just for me, Joy.
No.
Nadia, go ahead and tell us what you got going on.
I laughed at my mom. You can find me pretty much at that's my mom.
Hey, Mama.
She's so precious. I can be found at Envy Knows, and that name was given to me by one of my best friends, because I know a lot. But on here, on Instagram, my business is the Brands and Brand Strategy Group, where I also do consulting within marketing. I have an email list that comes out literally every week from the money makers. I stopped calling them tribe because of what was going on. And that's what I have there. So you can get my emails, you can get you can book a session with me, as well as just getting my e-guides that I have as well on the website, which is www.nadiacvanderhall.com, or you can just follow me here on Instagram like everybody else do.
I love it. All right, Dee, go ahead.
All right. What's up? So I just want to take a minute and give it to the audience. Like, this audience has been so dope, so engaging, dropping all types of jokes and thoughts, and really just giving us the energy to, like, this 2 hours flew by. Okay. It flew by mostly because of y'all. So I just want to make sure to say that you can find me at parental_wealth on IG, or parentalwealth.com is my website. I right now have a wait list for the Kid Academy, which is the Key Independence Driver Academy, where I teach kids, that will be y'all, how to talk money with your parents and get their finances just right. I also work directly with retired parents as well. So if you don't feel like you can have that conversation, listen, I'm gonna need you to call me, and I'm gonna be your favorite cousin and have a conversation with my new auntie and my new uncle, because at the end of the day, it's a diaspora and it's all love, and I want to see everybody win. Like, I love old folks. Like, basically, I am a golden girl already. Okay. So y'all can find me
online.
Please feel free to DM me anytime. time. I love hearing from folks. I want to know what's going on so that we can get this money on all levels and make sure that this intergenerational wealth is staying in our families and not going outside of it. So I really appreciate this. And Tiffany, thank you
Thank you so
so
much.
much for putting this together. I had so much fun. This is lit. So thank you so much.
Hey, maybe we could have these quarterly, like we were talking about in the comments earlier. Is that someone was like, it should be just more than Financial Literacy Month?
Yes.
And then I said, hell, it should be quarterly. Hell,
yeah, I mean, like I was saying in the comments earlier, there were so many different topics that I wanted to cover this month, but just there's no way to get it all in. You know, it was, and we had 5 weeks, 5 Thursdays this month, and there was still no way. So we should definitely keep this going. So again, follow all of us so that we can have these types of conversations. Instagram is great. You know, I love that they copycat like every other platform. So I'm glad that we're able to do these rooms now, so we can have more.
I am too.
So we can have more people in. I like to see people, and so this is so engaging. So I am Tiffany. I'm the founder of The Lotus Legacy. I'm a personal financial coach who helps moms become mindful with their money, so that they can create harmony with their money for now and create legacies for themselves and their children later. I am hosting co-hosting a workshop with Swirl and Sip podcast, not Sip and Swirl like I said earlier. Swirl and Sip podcast, where we're going to be talking about creating achievable financial goals. And so we talked about that a lot. You cannot hit your goals if you don't know what they are. So we're going to be talking about that at the end of this month. You can check the link in my bio so that you can get information for that. I'm super excited about this workshop for Financial Empowerment Month. It's literally, you know, it's basically free. So go ahead and check out that link so that you can get in on this, because it's going to be some great information to get you started on your financial journey if that's what you need. Thank you so much, ladies. My allergies were acting like they were good like all day. Like now I feel like
you was doing real good. You was doing good. You shouldn't even thought about it. It's all in here.
So thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, this audience has been amazing. Thank you guys for giving us the energy that we need. Connect with us, stay connected. You know, all of us are pretty responsive on Instagram. So if you have questions, feel free to DM us. And I hope you guys have a good night.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you. Bye, guys.
Thank you.